Hello and welcome back to Bespoke. You're with CP or Charles-Philippe. I'm here to take you on a journey. We're going to look at Paul Gaultier Ultra Male, a fragrance that came out in 2015 after the 1995 classic. As with every fragrance review, we'll be using our Bespoke Unit fragrance formula, a quantifiable matrix that allows us to justify our reviews. If you want to try this out, you can find a blank version to download and use at home. Just look in the description and it is yours. As mentioned in the introduction to this video, the Paul Gaultier Ultra Male is a reiteration of the classic from 1995. 20 years later, they came out with this, a darker, sensual, sexy bottle that bears very little resemblance inside to the original. So I got this for my stepson for Christmas, and I was looking forward to reviewing it myself, quite selfishly. I was looking for something that's quite fruity and that was perfect for a young man. So my stepson, he's in his early teens and he's starting to get into fragrances as well. I'm quite proud. So I got him this, which came in a nice gift box rather, with a nice hologram on it, and some shower gel. We'll talk about that a bit later, and let's concentrate on the contents. So I'm going to spray that on the back of the hand. It lays it on quite thick here, so I'm just going to let it cook off, otherwise I'll just get alcohol in my face. Whoa. Wow. Oh, this is very unusual. So I'm getting a little bit of bergamot and lavender, so something quite classic, but what isn't classic at all is that I'm getting this sort of pear and mint note. The pear is quite overt and quite unusual. Now wait a minute, I'm not saying I don't like it. On the contrary, it's very interesting. So yeah, bergamot and lavender on one end, so that's quite aromatic, with a little bit of mint in there, some dark peppermint as well, I'd say, quite sharp. With these pear notes on the other side that add this sort of sweet fruitiness. This isn't anything like the original. So now we're starting to get to the heart. We've still got a little bit of pear in there, and we're starting to get some aromatics as well, some clary sage. It's also getting quite spicy. Wow, very spicy. Cinnamon, cumin, and vanilla. So we're looking at something that's quite gourmand, quite oriental, quite tasty. This is a weird one though. It's enjoyable, I really like it, but far from conventional. So now I'm starting to get to the base, and this is, it's not getting any more normal, that's for sure. So we got some classic notes in there as well. We have some cedarwood, patchouli and labdanum, which by themselves would be a very classic base. You've got the patchouli, this kind of sweet and kind of earthy, and you've got the sort of resinous blend of cedarwood, which is kind of he's got that nice woody flavour to it, and then you have the labdanum, which is quite musky, quite leathery, but with the pear, it's kind of got this kind of fruity, leathery accord going on that's quite unusual. Very youthful, very, very youthful. I couldn't personally wear this, but I do appreciate it. Anyway, let's move on. Let's quickly talk about the seasonality of this fragrance. We're not looking at anything here that could be really worn during the summer months, that's for sure. Autumn, you could definitely pull it off. Winter, this is a must if you're a young lad. I say this is a fantastic fragrance for the cold months, and then when spring comes rolling around, I think you could put it off with this fruitiness, with these aromatic notes, with those spices. You could probably just about manage through the early spring. But I would I wouldn't consider this for summer. This isn't really something that could be worn during those hot months. The sweetness would become cloying, it would feel heavy, it would feel oily. In the way of weight and strength, this is a very good performer. We're looking at something that gives you a good sillage, very nice trail. My stepson puts this on before he heads off to school. He's gone and I can still smell it as the door closes behind him. So it's a very good performer. He must turn a lot of heads in high school. In terms of the projection, it's, I'd say, reasonable. You get this sort of sweetness at the distance between you and I, and as I get closer, you'll start to pick out the individual notes. But it's not, I'd say that the sillage is far more effective than the projection. In terms of longevity, this is a very good performer. So my stepson, he'll wear this, he'll put this on when he leaves for school, comes back, I can still smell it, it's still performing very well. And in France, where I live, they have some very long hours at school, unreasonably long. So for somebody working at their office, this will last them throughout the working day. If you're out clubbing, this will keep you going even when you're at McDonald's at 3 or 4 in the morning. Interestingly, the third-party feedback towards Ultra Male is very positive. This is a very unusual fragrance. It's quite different. It's got all these diverse and unconventional notes, and yet it seems to be liked by everyone. So we've got the younger people finding this to be particularly seductive, both men and women, girls and boys. Absolutely love this. My stepson loves to wear it, and I haven't asked many of the girls he hangs out with because that would be weird. But my stepdaughter, who's slightly older than him, really likes it too. For people sort of a bit older, this might be a bit more of a risk to wear. Maybe as a casual fragrance, you could put it off. They didn't seem to enjoy it quite as much, and then it sort of plateaued as you got above 30. People thought this was just too unusual to be enjoyable at a certain age. Nevertheless, it proved to be exceedingly positive for anyone from their early teens up until their mid-20s. Let's talk about this fragrance's impressions. First thing, age range. Like I just about said in the third-party feedback, this is definitely a young person's fragrance. It is ideal for teenagers and probably wearable for people in their early 20s, students, college students, university. You could probably still pull it off there. Definitely as a casual fragrance when you're in your mid-20s, you could probably wear this to the club, but I certainly wouldn't pair it with a suit. If you're working, if you're a young professional, or if you're a student, not very good for those environments. In terms of time of day, this is very much a nighttime fragrance. You've got these deep aromatics, you have these deep spices, you have that pear which has that sweet fruity touch to it, but you're still ending up with something that is very warm. It's very heady, and it's got a considerable volume to it. So this is not something that you could wear very well, probably during the day if you're quite young, but if you're somebody in their 20s, this probably wouldn't be a very good day fragrance. In terms of occasion, this is definitely a casual fragrance. I couldn't imagine this being worn in a formal setting. I definitely couldn't imagine this being worn in the workplace. It is far too overpowering. But casually, this is perfect. This is the ideal fragrance for chilling out with your mates, going to the pub, clubbing, anything you like. With regards to the masculinity, this is actually quite a moderate one. Although we do have some very deep, very masculine, very manly notes to it, the pear acts as a very interesting counterweight to kind of create some balance. It's actually more refined than, say, Paul Gaultier Ultra Male. That is a very strong and overtly masculine fragrance. This is a little bit more understated in that regard. let's talk about the presentation. What do we think of this? Well, we've still got the classic Le Male bottle. That has barely changed. The difference is that we have the sort of marine type sailor t-shirt has changed colours. So here we've got sort of black with a kind of indigo dark blue bottle that changes colour in the light quite nicely. It reflects beautifully the kind of bouquet that we get, the aesthetic of the scent, the aromas. It does associate itself quite well with it. And you have this little pin, which I don't know if you're meant to keep it or not, but I quite like it. It's kind of grenade pinned, so you don't accidentally set off the atomizer. The atomizer performs quite well, lays it on very thick, I think much too thick, so it should be sort of sprayed at a good distance, maybe not that far, but I wouldn't do it too close because you'll just end up getting this thick puddle of very overwhelming, very cloying notes. With regards to the packaging, well, unfortunately I did see the packaging. In fact, the packaging is classic. It's this tin with these sort of gears on it, very mechanical, sort of aluminium tin that is actually great to use after you've taken the fragrance out as a put it on your desk, and you can use it for storing pencils. I've seen people doing that, and great for keeping spare change in as well as a piggy bank. But in this instance, I got my steps on this gift set with this hologram, this sort of Christmas themed gift set. So you've got some pine tree leaves here with some ribbon, and you have this conveyor belt, and you've got these men who are topless men, sailors who are working gears with a conveyor belt of women who are being delivered. Politically, maybe not very safe, but certainly cool to look at. With regards to the value for money, this one is an expensive fragrance. It's anything between $87 to $93 for 100 milliliters, which is 3.4 ounces. It's very steep. I think that for a fragrance which is destined for young people, it is quite expensive, but you still do get a very interesting and unique fragrance with it, which would be an excellent alternative to, for example, Paco Rabanne or Million. If you're interested in this fragrance, just check the links below in the description and you'll see the current best prices that we could find. To conclude, Paul Gaultier Ultra Male is a very unique and interesting fragrance, and it acts as a great alternative to other classics for this age range, such as Paco Rabanne 1 Million. Unfortunately, it's also quite steep, it's quite expensive. Nevertheless, it is still an excellent fragrance. So if you're looking for something to give to a son, stepson, or a nephew, this would be an excellent option and a great way of getting a young lad into fragrances. I'm Charles-Philippe, and that's all from me today. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment if you have any questions. Otherwise, don't forget we have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check those links out in the description. Head to bespokeunit.com if you want to read the full review or learn about fragrances in general. Until next time, take care.